Hi folks. Thought I'd do some recording whilst I was painting up the last of my English Civil War commission, so I'm just doing that off to the side. The reason I haven't done a normal sort of presentation video today is because I'm sort of trying to churn these out by tonight. I'm going to send those off in the post tomorrow morning, I think. They're the English Civil War figures. And in front of you there now, the I think they're called the Ruga, interesting African tribe, and there's some of the English Civil War figures there. It's quite a nice assortment of them actually. There's another Covenanter, and at the back there for my own painting, well, at least what I'll be doing next, then some Chasseurs de Cheval, Perry plastics those are. And as I was saying, I haven't done a normal video today because I'm trying to churn these out. Do you think during the lockdown that everything would be at a slow pace, and it is usually for me, but these actually need to go off in the post van tomorrow, because the post van in this village only comes round once a week. So I'm going to definitely get these ready by tomorrow, maybe Thursday I think the van goes. But I'm working somewhere on tomorrow afternoon, so I can't be chipping away at these then. So yeah, I thought rather than rush the painting and show them off to you, because I do like to show, well, everything that I paint. Not, I think it's just a little completionist thing. I like to make a little video so I can go back to them. Seeing as I won't actually have the figures, I like to just go back to see what I've painted, and maybe I can use it as a reference if someone, for a new commission or something. Sometimes I want to show what sort of painting I do, what I've painted in the past, and I can just send a link for the video there. But yeah, all I'm doing at the moment is painting. I've done a lot of the base colours and highlights. I've done all the flesh and metalwork and things. At the moment I'm just painting the gaiters and things with a nice neutral grey from Vallejo. I've got some officers to do. These are militia, and then that's one of the Covenanter officers or sergeant. And the Ruga are all done. They're ready to be put in bubble wrap and sent off. I've got some officers off to the left here. They need to be done in bright red coats, and I think the other two officers need to be done in dark blue. So I'm just following the recipe. I'm hoping to record for at least like 12 minutes today. That said, the battery on the camera, as always, is low. That's something I really should start remembering. So it might be cut a little bit short. But yeah, I've been catching up on people's videos, very enjoyable. Painting and chatting at the same time is a little bit trickier than I thought. I'll get some dark blue on the palette here now. This is the setup I've got for my painting palette. Sorry I haven't replied to the comments on my latest video. I've been a little bit busy, but I'll get around to it now today or tomorrow. So that palette looks like a bit of a mess, but got the grey there, some brown wash, dark blue now I'm moving on to. The palette is great. It's just an old Tupperware, 2 sponges that you can get from the miniature packages for some of the metals. Metal manufacturers, they do those like sponge material, bit of water and baking paper on top, and that's all. If you want a straightforward wet palette, that's all you need really. I use one like old knackered brush for just mixing up the paint. I don't like doing that with my painting brushes for some reason. So yeah, I'm curious now what these dark blue officers are for. There's bright red coats for some of them, and dark blue with red facings for some of the other ones. They might be sort of a royalist colour, I'm not sure. A bit shooting in the dark with English Civil War. I'm not pie hot on the topic. He's asked for lots of gold trim on the officers, so that would be easy enough to do. Hope everyone's keeping well. I've been catching up on people's videos. Watched Jim Mary Hinder's video this morning. That was good. He was doing some 95th Rifles and Light Infantry. Really nice. I have done rifles, and I left a comment just saying I think those are the only really British troops I've done. I've done some line infantry for the Peninsula, but then sold those off, so that doesn't last very long. I'm not sure it is. I think once I do start on the British, I'll start on them properly, collect them, everything for them really. I've read plenty on Waterloo and the Peninsula as well. I find it an interesting conflict, but at the moment I think I'm more interested in France clashing with Prussia and Austria and Russia, of course. I haven't started on the Prussians or the Austrians because, well, when I've got commissions to do, I tend to just knuckle down with those then, and I put large things out of the way. I've only got those Chasseurs à Cheval out because I had them primed up already, and I'd done the base coat on them, and I just wanted them sort of sorted. I haven't been painting them whilst doing the commission. I can only really focus on one thing at a time. I tend to get distracted and it all goes back in the cupboard if I get fed up. So just trying to be sort of disciplined with how I do it. This is quite a nice figure. Actually, the manufacturer of these figures is something curious. I haven't come across them before. For someone in England, client who's been a very loyal customer, seem to be doing a lot of stuff for him, and I think that's what you need, someone to just keep you ticking over with little jobs. Suiting me now. I don't know if I'll do much painting next year for people because I have my proper job now, hopefully. So obviously there are uncertain times for people, especially jobs wise. That's the dark blue. Dark blue with red facings, a bit curious, yeah. I haven't come across that combo on like a British officer before. I suppose it is the English Civil War, a lot of different militias and county levies and all sorts of things. I know some people are really keen into their, in the UK at least. I'm not sure if they have something similar in America. Well, I suppose not. You'd have American Civil War reenactors, but in the UK the sealed knot is a big thing. And I think it's just for English Civil War reenacting. But people who seem to be into that seem to be really into it, if you know what I mean. And get all the gear. And I think they do things like camp life and things, also really get into it. I've never done reenacting. I always like going to see battles and when there's reenacting teams come to castles and things. I like to see the gear that they've got, especially medieval reenactors, archers and things. He's actually very quick to paint these figures, whatever they are. The last English Civil War figures I painted were Paul Hicks metals, and they were really nice. I didn't even know they existed until I had them in the post. Didn't know that he'd done English Civil War. Empress do English Civil War range, but I don't think they're Paul Hicks sculpts. I think they're someone else. They look nice though. There's nothing particularly drawing me to the English Civil War as a personal collection. I'm still not jumping up and down at the prospect of starting it. One thing I have seen which are really nice are Leon's Landsknechts, and maybe he could tell me Are those for the Italian wars, or are they more for something, I don't know, like a German conflict or something? Because I went to Italy and I saw the Zweihanders of the Landsknechts, and they were awesome. I don't know how they picked them up, to be honest. There's a lot of good museums in Italy, like medieval history and Renaissance stuff, with lots of armour and weapons in glass cases, which is what we like to see. Lots of good gear to look at. I've looked into it a little bit, and the condottieri does interest me, the sort of little walls they have with the pike blocks. I've seen some really fantastic work done on, big pike blocks, and they've got the flags going, and it just looks awesome. It's quite tricky painting and talking at the same time, but I suppose you just bring out the internal monologue that you have anyway. And I honestly don't think I'd be able to paint in, well, if I were to bring that back, I'd have to really, I don't know how practical that would be. I'd rather have a camera overhead, I think. Quite nice figure there. Just going through the dark blue on him. I managed to mess up on the white a little bit. This one's in a light grey undercoat, but the rest of them seem to be in a... I used quite a dark undercoat with Army Painter's Necromancer cloak, which is quite a dark grey, really. Vallejo's dark Prussian blue is a really good colour for dark blue, because you can mix it with black to put a base coat for your... If you're going for a really dark blue, I like to use dark Prussian blue even for my Napoleonic French, because sometimes you see it painted, their uniforms painted really quite light. Doesn't seem to be the case, and I've seen a lot of paintings, and I think the Otto manuscripts show it really well. The very dark blue, really. It's not the sort of brilliant blue you see sometimes. I'm not sure if that's due to dyeing or fading, I'm not sure. But since then I've stuck to a very dark blue. Same for the American Civil War